My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast. We're not okay. We're not okay. We're not okay. There's a lot that's happened and we're not okay.
It's okay, so I made a meme that basically said, welcome, congratulations, you finished October. Welcome to November, and holy shit, level 11 of 2020 is harsh. Sunday night? Bye, Ben.
There's also just to give you a heads up, there is going to be swearing in this episode. We've talked about keeping it PG.
Fuck that.
But yeah, no, sorry, fuck that.
We've
sorry,
gone
kids,
to high school.
if you happen to be listening to this, kids. Sorry, earmuffs on, but yeah, no, I'm terrified.
Oh dear.
So a lot has happened. We're not going to run through it as per usual. We're not going to run through it.
No.
Blow by blow by blow.
Let's go through the highlights and lowlights and devastating blows.
So what the creamy middles. What I wanted to sort of start by talking about as well was, because we didn't end up doing the other night, we didn't end up doing Tuesday night last week because obviously we spoke to the wonderful, amazing Amelia Jackson on Monday night, and we decided no, we don't need to do two
we
and 2
needed
nights.
Tuesday to recover from that awesomeness.
We needed that. But, a lot happened. First of all, the noodles happened. That feels like about 8.5 years ago.
And that was mesmerising, the skill of the noodle master and the kids just being thrilled. And imagine that, you just walk up and you go, I'll have thin ones, thanks. I'll have those thick ones. Or is it Laura? I'll have the triangle ones.
It was brilliant to watch them.
Because I haven't had those before.
Yeah, it was brilliant. And as you know, a friend of the podcast, Leo, did point out, in Masterchef Back to Win this year, the challenge was, of course, make something out of instant noodle. And in this one, it was, we're giving you fresh noodles.
Yes.
From a master at making noodles.
Which is quite funny, because when you're a kid, you go through an experimentation phase where you try and jazz up your 2-minute noodles. So, the adults got to do that, but these kids, they're that higher level, they're just like, no, only the best for you. And
Leah had a big night, because the other thing that happened during that episode, and I tweeted this out as well, was the episode starts, and we've been watching a lot of Uncle Roger. Now, if you haven't been watching Uncle Roger on YouTube, what the hell are you doing? He did a great one where he reviewed That's What I Reckon's fried rice.
Yes.
But I got a message from Leah that simply said, does Georgia have wok hay? And she did have wok hay.
Yes, she did. She was like Uncle Gordon Ramsay.
So that was a really sort of, just watching that episode was amazing. All of those noodles looked incredible.
Yeah, and it made me crave noodles, so much so I believe I bought a Laksa the next day.
Yeah, there were lots of people who said they had second dinner because they were watching, and as they were watching, the noodles were just sort of tantalising.
What's your favourite noodle dish?
Oh, that's a big call.
I know.
I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know.
Not a pad see ew.
No, well, again, I'm okay with Thai. I'm not anti-Thai.
Yeah.
I like Thai. You like Coat? To quote Homer Simpson. But no, I kind of...
Something spicy, like some dragon noodles. Didn't you have that?
I've had dragon. Oh, okay, so the dragon... Yeah, thanks for bringing up the dragon noodle story.
Welcome.
So the dragon noodles, I went to see Neil Gaiman in Miscellaneous City. It was a great night, by the way. He sang the theme song to Fireball XL5. Which was amazingly good, and read us some of his book, his children's book, Fortunately the Milk, which is brilliant. If you have never read it, go find it. But beforehand, I was with some friends who I was seeing the concert with, and we decided that we were going to have some dragon noodle. And there was a bit of a contest in terms of a sort of, I can do more heat than you, I can do more heat than you. So we were both talking about this, my friend and myself, while the noodles were sitting on the table. And we just let them sit there while we had this conversation. In hindsight, dumb move.
Gave them more time to really bring on...
It's soaked into all of the noodle.
Yep.
So we both took a massive bite of dragon noodle at the same time. Everyone at the table reported the fact they could see the colour just rising through our heads. And we just both... We knuckled down for a second mouthful, We tried a third mouthful.
Is that when the steam just started pouring out your ears like a cartoon?
Then we looked at each other and there was this moment followed by... Truce? Truce.
No more.
And we walked away. So thanks for bringing up dragon noodles.
You're welcome.
What is your favourite noodle dish?
Oh, so many. But they've got to be from specific places. Like, if you go to Eating World in Miscellaneous City, there is one of the specific little counters there that serve the best flat rice noodles with beef and just yum. In about 20 years ago, they was like $9.50 for that and like a little cup of soup, which is fantastic when you're a Povo student. These days, yeah, I'm a laksa fiend.
You are.
Yeah, I really am a laksa fiend. I do prefer a rice noodle in my laksa. Not so much the flat noodles, I like the round noodles. But if it's good laksa, I really don't care. It's just, but noodles, yeah, flat rice.
Yes, you are a bandit for a flat rice noodle. Like when they were picking out the noodles, I was going, the flat rice noodle being picked out. I'm like, that's a Kristie.
No,
choice.
it's an egg noodle,
Yeah.
and she was supposed to use a flat rice.
Yes.
Just love it.
Anyway,
Yeah, back at the ranch.
back at the ranch. So that was really the noodle episode. Like, it was a good episode. It was a fun episode, but
And it was a moment that MasterChef cameramen or camera people got to do a little bit of chef's table work, like just the camera angles and the lighting and stuff of the noodle.
And I love that, he kind of got a code name too, Mr. Like, he kind of got a code name.
Yeah.
Which was
Mr. X.
Yeah, that was great.
Mr. X in the MasterChef kitchen with the noodles. Sorry, with the thin noodles.
No, with the triangle noodles, clearly. The pointy edges. We've had quite a week, though, as I said.
Triangle noodles, perfect for garrotting.
Yeah, with noodles. According to one-star review we found of this podcast, we sound very much like FM radio, which is really funny because, first of all, we say things they don't say, but
like felching.
But hi, kids. So, but also in terms of where we're going with this conversation.
Yeah.
What noodles best to garrot with? Give us a call.
Dovetail. What sauce would you have with it?
Follow up, Dovetail. Which animal would you steal from the zoo? So...
Get your icy cans cold.
Icy cans cold? Get your icy cans cold. That sounds like a whole other thing going on.
That sounds like a public service announcement. Hello, welcome to FM... What do we want to call it? This is just a public service announcement to remind you to get your icy cans cold.
Everybody get your icy cans cold at many depots.
Yes.
Plenty of government depots to get your icy cans icy cold. Give us a call.
Back of the Black Thunders.
And if this was AM radio,
yeah.
Instead of it be, what do you think about people getting their cans cold? Give us a call.
No, if this was AM radio, where people are out getting their cans cold. We don't need cold cans, therefore the weaklings, the snowflakes. Is that what they sound like?
Back in my day, we didn't need cold cans.
No, our cans were homegrown and home canned. They're just stored in the fridge. I mean, we didn't even have a fridge. It was a cupboard. It wasn't even a cupboard with a door. It just was a shelf.
The Iceman came around. What, the guy with the ice chest? No, the Iceman, the one they found in the Alps. It was that long ago. It was Otzi.
Pre-Thor.
It was Otzi pre-Thor. Anyway.
Just a caveman wandering about.
If you're still following us, welcome. So...
in
terms of this week, we're going to get to the heartache in a minute because, God, there's been some heartache and I'm still not...
Why do you think I keep taking us on tangents? I do not want to get there. So I'm not ready to admit reality.
Before we get there...
Okay, yep.
We did have another moment of junior strategy. Yes. So... I don't think I want to play any of these kids at any form of board game because their strategy level is just incredible. And...
Like, nowhere, just completely keep losing.
Nowhere was this scene more...
Secret Hitler.
Yeah, nowhere was this scene more dramatically...
Risk gone.
...than the ice cream cabinet.
Hungry hippos. Well, I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah, the ice cream cabinet.
Yeah.
So the ice cream cabinet was fantastic.
Guess who? Maybe. But they'd probably bluff me.
Anyway, the ice cream cabinet. So,
ice cream cabinet!
How were you so distracted... that you missed the phrase ice cream cabinet.
Oh, because I was thinking about board games.
You were so in your own board game joke world
yep.
that you missed the phrase ice cream.
Okay, ice cream cabinet, which is like, how's this? Like, not only are these kids on their like dream, like, you know, TV show, they get to eat ice cream.
Except Georgia.
Oh.
And can I just say, look, I've said this a few times on Twitter, but I want to restate this for a fact.
Georgia, like Benjamin Button.
I do not believe in reincarnation. But Georgia's done some laps.
She's just back here.
Georgia's
to cook with
seen
lemon.
a lot, and Georgia knows a lot, and she's here for none of your crap. And she's not tolerating any of your... There's a reason why her and Jock get on so well.
Yeah.
They just, neither of them are here for your garbage.
No.
They will not tolerate it. So what you get is they all talk about ice cream. Who likes ice cream? They all put their hands up, and Jock just looks immediately at Georgia because he's just come to expect it.
Yep.
And Georgia, sure enough, looks at him and goes, I don't like ice cream. I'm not a big ice cream fan. And you can just
What do you reckon do you reckon she'd be more of a sticky date pudding kind of gal?
I suspect she does sort of, you know, a plum brandy sort of...
What's that one that it's an old fashioned dessert. I think it starts with a P.
An old-fashioned dessert beginning with a
Posset.
T.
A posset. Do you think she'd be a posset fan? She's more of a posset gal.
Okay, right now, a bunch of people at home have gone, what the hell's a posset? Laura has heard this and gone, oh, yeah, I make those all the time.
That's something to just whip up for family days. Like, just get-togethers with the family, a bit of posset.
But Georgia gives you the feeling of somebody who's gone around a million times. And the sort of indicator of that is the speech that Georgia gave at the end of the elimination challenge in that episode, where it was like, is she going to go home or not? And the speech that she gave was, well, look, if I go home at this point in time, I've got a really cool recipe now from Darren Purchese that I can practice.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to going home and practicing this. I was like, your maturity level, I'm not ready for you to go home. And you're there going, if I go home. But she also said at the same time, when she went and picked the really hard ice cream flavour, I never looked at her and she goes, well, I don't want to go through to an elimination on the back of an easy one. If I'm going to go through to elimination, it's going to be hard. Right?
Yep.
I want to see if I can get the hard ones right. And if I can't get a hard one right, well, I go through to elimination off a difficult ice cream.
Yeah.
I love that philosophy.
Yeah, and she's probably like, if I have to eat something, bleh, I'll just eat whatever, bleh. Thought.
Yes.
So, in the past, they've released Junior Masterchef cookbooks, right? Do you think, because we're in a new age, that we should now just have Junior Masterchef, like, philosophy for life book with some occasional recipes?
I'd be there. 100%. You know, one of the things we talk about a lot is that we hate it when people on a website do, I've got my recipe for saltimbocca. So I was on tour once in Belgium, and while I was on tour in Belgium, I bumped into a family from Brussels, and that family from Brussels knew somebody from Iowa, and Iowa is famous for potatoes. Anyway, here's my recipe with veal. It's that long-winded story, but I think with Junior Masterchef, I'm here for the long-winded story.
And the thing is, like, they know how to communicate long-windedness and not even in a windy way. Like, they're just like these they're like these little refreshing breezes of ness. Like,
they're not windy, they're little refreshing breezes
of ness.
And we have an episode titled Little Refreshing Breezes. But it's a good description. They're all each individually a refreshing breeze.
Exactly, and they've all got something to offer. So let's get to the hero of the hour, who knew what to do when it came to the ice creams.
So, it was really interesting to watch. So when they were getting ready to taste the ice creams, and we were looking at this idea of how we were going to do it. And first of all, the first thing they showed was phyllo. And it was phyllo was the first one they showed when they said the words taste test. Mm-hmm. And boy, did phyllo jump up and down. But then, of all of the people you expect to exploit it,
yes,
Ruby.
Yes.
Ruby is the one who she goes, that one. And she goes and starts eating it. And they cut to her bit to camera and she's like, I know what this is, but I'm just really enjoying eating the ice cream.
There we are, the hero of the hour, Ms. Ruby, just like, Oh, I'm not sure. I think I'll just have to go back for another little lick or 6.
I'll have to just finish this off. And Philo was really excited. I don't think I've lived anybody in any form of challenge more than Ben, who you just rode him through that whole challenge.
Yeah.
The highest of highs, the lowest of lows, the creamy middles. It was all
The crunchy cone ends.
The one thing I love so much about Ben, nothing is hidden.
No.
If there is an emotion being experienced, Ben is really
He's a
experiencing that.
WYSIWYG. Do you remember that
Yes,
expression?
yes.
What you see is what you get. Ladies and gentlemen, when you were young and in a computer lab at school, when you had to go to a computer lab because you didn't have them in your classroom, unless you had that one in your classroom that everyone had to share and you had to sign up for computer time, and you learnt about WYSIWYG, I'm like, who the fuck cares? Like what that's called. It's just what it is. Why did it need an acronym?
Anyway.
Anyway, back at the ranch. So the other person who I enjoyed was watching Laura. She became a kid. Like, she looks like she's so serious and like she's, she's happy to be there, but she's just very like in the moment, soaking up that moment. And there was this just joy and happiness that was flitting through her as she got to eat ice cream.
So you got, in the elimination challenge, you got Philo in the elimination. And I felt bad for Philo in that elimination, by the way. Because when Philo got there, he was so confident.
Yep.
I know this flavour. And it was corn ice cream, it turns out.
Oh.
Which, by the way, all those people going, where the hell do they get the idea for corn ice cream? Back to Win, where there was a corn ice cream this year. It happened. It was in Back to Win.
So, indeed.
Corn ice cream, it's come up before. It is a thing. It has been a thing before. So we had Philo.
It's the salsa ice cream that's coming up next with like with the taco cone.
The taco. So you want to invent the taco sundae?
Essentially, yes.
So you want so what you want? Let me guess. So what we will do is first of all we do a layer of corn ice cream on the bottom. Mm-hmm. Right. Then we do maybe some sour cream ice cream.
Oh yeah,
that'll work. Then you do some mince. So some beef mince ice cream. Then we do, you want a bit of tomato probably.
Yeah, and finish off with a
cheese.
Yes, a bit of cheese ice cream. You can do that. And finish off with a coriander granita. Just to mix it up a bit.
The taco sundae. I'm not here for the taco sundae. Anyway.
I don't think anyone is.
So we have Philo, we had...
beef mince ice cream.
We had... I'll make it. Oh. We had Philo, we had Georgia, obviously, and then we had Ruby and Ben. And as a 4, it was a horrible 4 in terms of anyone having to actually go home.
Yeah.
But what I really enjoyed was when they then brought Darren Purchase in. So Darren Purchase comes marching through. Mm-hmm. He puts his thing down. You'll be making and he dwells over the top of it. And the kids just look and they're like, I bet we're about to go to an ad break now, aren't we? This is going to be an ad break. Right? It's taking forever. There's going to be an ad here. You know there's going to be an ad. And sure enough, ad break. And we talk a lot about these kids watch a lot of Masterchef. Yep. This is the sign.
I mean, we watch a lot of Masterchef. We're quite familiar with a lot of adages. I reckon these kids would know more than anything. Like, we would be learning from them in terms of, like, the little themes and tricks and tips that they'd pick up.
So I thought that the Darren Purchase dish, Snow, was brilliant.
So do I.
Now, the reason I thought it was amazing is that
didn't patronise the kids?
There was no patronising to the kids. It also proved that being able to make isomalt is, a skill that anyone can adapt, not just fancy restaurateurs. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we'll move past that. And what you got was an example of these kids just nailing it. And what they did was they didn't dumb the challenge down.
No.
They gave them the cover to go on top of it, which, by the way, in a restaurant, they would buy those in bulk. You would. I've asked a couple of people, and they're like, you can buy those. They would have bought the fairy floss in bulk, basically, and just shaped it. Mm-hmm. So they wouldn't have made that anyway in the restaurant.
Fair enough.
So the hard parts of the actual cook, they had to make. And I thought every single one of those was amazing.
Absolutely.
Like, the colour on that, the isomalt dome, every single thing that those 4 kids made was unbelievable.
And it wasn't easy. It wasn't super hard that you were going to make these kids, like sit in a corner and rock. But it was challenging enough out of their comfort zone to help them expand on their skill set. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. And, as we saw on tonight's episode, Philo learnt something.
Philo did. Philo's been really good in terms of his ability to soak things up like a sponge. Mm-hmm. Luckily, the sponge didn't soak up his glaze, which was really good. And then he learnt that glaze and used that glaze again. I loved when they went, bit of a family recipe. And he goes, Masterchef recipe, Masterchef family recipe. Nice work. By the way, that's something that everyone did in Back to Win, if you remember. Every time they brought someone in to do something with them, or they did something where they demonstrated a skill, in the next week, everyone was doing that thing. Mm-hmm. So that's a MasterChef trend. Yep. I thought that challenge was great because it did demonstrate the kids' ability. And
it's not that, Ben and
Ruby
made massive mistakes. They didn't, it wasn't an abject failure. It was just small little bits of their elements in certain parts of it that just didn't pull off.
I mean, any time you have to involve a dome terrifies me, obviously. And there are a couple of moments like that. I mean, for example, I was a bit terrified with tonight's announcement from Tiffany. She's never made a grenada. And I'm not aware if the MasterChef producers were aware of this. Because surely never having made a grenada is an automatic disqualification from the competition. Because you have to have made a grenada. That's a rule. Look, there are rules you need to follow.
Look, maybe she's made enough parfaits and ice creams and domes and mousses to make up. It's like when I met you on Tinder and I forgave you for not having listed Star Wars because you had red hair. It's like something made up for something else. And you like Star Wars, as it turns out.
Anyway.
And as it turns out, Tiffany can make grenada.
Anyway, the other interesting part of that challenge, I thought, didn't actually come on that night. So we had this amazing elimination cook where obviously we will come back, we will talk about all the people going home. Right, we're not going to do that now. No, we'll get there because there's
save it.
Yeah, we're trying hard not to talk about it. I thought that the challenge was even better when compared to the following night.
Oh my god!
Because it was
fiddly potatoes.
Yep. So look. I think a lot of people thought that last night's episode was a bit of a meh episode. Now, the reason I thought it was a meh episode, some people were saying, oh, no bed, no show. No, not that. Right? One, I thought it gave the kids a chance, the other kids a chance to get some screen time.
Yep.
Because Ben is so good in terms of his presence that you want to get Ben on screen all the time.
Absolutely.
And I felt for some of, up until last night, had anyone heard of Carter, really?
Yeah.
Carter was there, obviously, but he hadn't really got himself any prominent role. And suddenly Carter got himself some TV time.
Yeah.
But I thought that the kids last night were great. I thought the problem was that they went from the night before and Darren Purchase setting them an amazing task, really complicated, really difficult, to the following episode. Curtis Stone comes back, which, slight red flag there already, because if there's one person I think that the franchise overvalues and the people at home just go, no, he's just overhyped, it's Curtis. But not in person. He's on the iPad, obviously, because he's over in America.
Yeah. He's got to do Gogglebox.
But far more importantly, cook something with potatoes.
Yeah.
And I thought that it was a bit lackluster, because I thought that, everyone goes, oh, but yeah, you could do so much with a potato. Well, you can, but these are kids that, they rise to the occasion, and you gave them a potato. There were some beautiful potato curries. By the way, a lot of potato curry. The kids all went, this is fun, the kids mostly went to potato curry.
Yeah.
And there was some amazing, and again, Georgia and Dev were just out in this world amazing.
Particularly when Georgia doesn't eat hot foods.
Yeah, well
Or hot
Georgia,
spicy
so again, we go back to what Georgia talks about in terms of her flavours and her flavour profiles. And this is a bit of a conversation to have. We'll have this conversation now. So I said tonight that I thought that Laura's balance of flavours is one of the greatest in there. Possibly only Georgia has a better balance of flavour. Now, I think Dev is brilliant at the flavours he picks straight up.
Yeah.
And he nails those. When I'm talking about balance of flavour, it's when you get to that ultra tricky sort of unusual flavour balancing.
Yeah.
I think Laura and Georgia have senses for that are just
a little bit more sophisticated.
Than
Georgia, the average adult.
Yeah, and yeah.
Probably
Georgia,
even in the less, like the more average adult.
Georgia, for example.
More than average.
Like Georgia last night, she channeled for me Maggie Beer. You know, Maggie Beer will tell you straight up, she doesn't really like chili. She doesn't, there's a lot of flavours she doesn't really
like. Pecans.
Doesn't like pecans, doesn't like chili. But she knows that other people do. And so she will put that to one side when she's tasting a dish.
Yeah.
Because she's like, other people do, so I'm judging what the flavour is and what the taste would be for them. I'm not judging it on my own palate.
Yeah.
Georgia goes, I can't eat spicy food. I really can't eat spicy food. But I know they want this really hot. So I'm just going to have to grin and bear it and eat.
Yep.
And she did. And she got it bang on.
Yep. Even though her tongue was burning off or something that she mentioned was very cute. I think what I'm kind of torn between the potato thing. I understand, like, when Curtis comes on, it's usually like a featured ingredient or a featured
something
range
on
of
sales at Coles.
Yeah, it's like, what's on special at Coles this week? Obviously, it's potatoes. It felt like something that should have been earlier in Junior Masterchef, but, you know, if this is the worst we've seen out of Junior Masterchef in terms of what they've set up for the kids to do, it's still pretty good.
Exactly. I think that,
you know, it still gave them a chance to use their skills and talents and thinking to create something pretty darn good on all of their plates.
Agreed. Like, I'm not
No.
smashing it, but I think if you're comparing what they gave from Curtis Stone, it strikes me a little bit like Bart brings in his bigger brother. And, you know, there's, you know, the gun where they shoot Martin Prince with the nerve gun, and it's like, he'll be fine in a couple of hours. And then Milhouse comes up for his show and tell. I got a horsey. Nay. What? It's a bit like that. Yeah. You know, Darren Purchase, or, again, to use another Simpsons reference, Krusty the Clown makes his balloon animal. And then says, what did you make? Sideshow Luke Perry, and he goes, a 19th century carousel. Yeah. But Curtis, what have you done? Potatoes. It's really early in the morning here in America. They're potatoes. Can I go to bed now?
Yeah, look, I think we should also give probably a bit of leeway to Curtis. One, can he actually get out to a shop to get any other ingredients, or did he have to go, what have I got in the house? Two, they're coming up to an election, and, a lot of coronavirus over there, so can he, we just have to give him a lot of leeway. Plus it was probably like 2:30 a.m.
And he's sitting up there going, I love potatoes. Potatoes are amazing. Have I fulfilled my contract yet? Can I go to bed?
I made these mashed potatoes, and he found like a packet of Deb in the back of the fridge. He didn't have fresh potatoes, so he only had that one to kind of show, but they're saving that for a special occasion.
On the plus side,
Christmas.
What we have learned in the past few weeks by watching episodes of Taskmaster,
yes,
is that if you have Deb potatoes,
you can make a snowman.
Right? If you haven't seen that, go watch series 2 of Taskmaster. Anyway,
yes.
So overall, I thought that the challenge that Darren Purchase put forward, Snow, was really cool.
Yep.
I thought the kids did an amazing job of it, and I thought then the next night, we had a couple of really cool things. I think the first, we did. I'll come to the food in a minute. The food's secondary to me. There were two amazing moments. On the drinking game card, for those who follow normally, we normally do the drinking game. Right, and for normal adult MasterChef and for all the bake-offs, we do a drinking game every week. One of our most popular squares on that drinking game is the "I just turned my back for a second" disaster. Now, we've seen a few good ones in our time. But Philo setting fire to a pan in the Masterchef kitchen, and the way that Melissa and Dev are having this conversation about Dev's flavours, and Dev just turns and looks over and goes, Philo? And Philo turns around and a man just appears running a flat chat behind Philo. And Philo looks at the pan like, what am I going to do? And this guy just sprints.
I'm now calling him Flambe Philo.
And he just leaps in the shot to put the fire out. And then Melissa was amazing. She did a really good sort of, are you okay? What did that have? He goes, I left the pan on the heat for a bit, and then I might have thrown some butter in there after the pan had been on for a really long time, and the butter might have caught fire.
Might have just reached a, combustion point. It's fine. We've all done that shit as a kid.
The other thing that I thought was amazing before we get to food, the other thing I thought was amazing last night is this has been a series of firsts.
Mm.
Is this the first time we've had someone had to stop their voiceover because they thought they lost a tooth? Because Georgia was big energy. She's like, so the dishes are really... Oh, hang on. I think I just lost a tooth. Did I just lose a tooth? No, it's still there. No, it's definitely still there. I didn't lose a tooth. I think I lost it. No, it's definitely still there. Like, and again, that was just the voiceover. It wasn't biting into anything.
No.
They're just at that age. So it was just hilarious to watch.
See, if that was me in her position, no matter how old it was, it'd be like, I'd just be there trying to rock it out, like just trying to pull on that gum. Because I'm like, payday's coming and lollies are got to happen. But in her case, probably just like she'd have to pop down and buy some sensible corduroy.
Now, speaking of
a nice vest.
Speaking of people that we think have possibly done a couple of laps around, Laura.
Wow.
So Laura uttered a sentence last night where they were asking her about what she was making, and she was making gnocchi.
Yep.
And she's talking about the gnocchi, and then there was that phrase where she just goes, look, I normally make pumpkin gnocchi. I've never really made potato gnocchi, so I assume they're very similar, but it's a big problem for me because I'm not quite sure how long I have to cook potato gnocchi for because I'm only used to making pumpkin.
Yeah.
And I just thought there are so many children in the world today who have that exact quandary.
Yeah.
Look, they've only ever made pumpkin gnocchi.
Look, we remember clearly, between the ages of 5 and 11, it was only pumpkin gnocchi.
Yeah, look, again, it's because of the softness of the pumpkin.
Yeah, you'd probably go into like a bit of a shits and giggles time and go, oh, I'm going to make a turnip one. But, never potato.
No. And
all other root vegetables.
Potatoes
like on a vine.
Potatoes when you get into the hard gnocchis. And
grape gnocchi.
Obviously, hard gnocchis are things you get into much later on in life because you don't want to start with those ones. You want to start on the gateway gnocchis.
Yeah.
And a good gateway gnocchi, I find,
gnocchi.
is pumpkin. And so I 100% understand where Laura was coming from.
Look, you don't want to be hitting potato gnocchi till at least you're 18. I mean, come on, Laura. Where are your responsible adults there?
Exactly. I thought that was...
Keep going.
I'm trying. I thought that was really good. I liked the fact that we had these sentences that you get, and it's one of the things that has been a highlight in the entirety of the series, is you get these sentences all the way through Junior Masterchef of things you're not expecting to hear. So, for example, Philo tonight with, I've made a lot of mirror glazes in my life.
Yeah. And this is what I love about Junior Masterchef. When you watch other, kid-based shows or kid version of shows, it's always patronising and sickly sweet, and, it's kind of like, oh, good on you, kidlets, we're just going to, give you, something, and you can just make a mess of it, and we'll all have a laugh, and it'll just be a filler. I am watching this like I'm watching normal MasterChef. And
I'm going to bring them up because I'm going to talk about her in a minute in a way that's not so great. But I was totally here with Vienna's croquettes last night. I was so there for
Carter's
them.
pancakes. I'm like, dude, don't worry about the extra flour. Just make some hash browns out of those things. Like, that looks good.
I know that they said that there was a problem in terms of the way that he balanced up the flavours. And they did comment on the charring of the onion, and I'm like, no shit, he set fire to the kitchen.
That was Philo.
But that's what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
Philo's stew that he made, I would take a delivery of that tomorrow, and I would be perfectly comfortable.
That looked delicious.
It looked amazing. They're like, oh, it's burnt. It's a bit charred. And I'm like, he set fire to a pan.
But the moment that I'm going to make croquettes with smoky capsicum sauce, I was here for Vienna.
Yep.
And then she didn't make little ones. She's like, oh, no, darling. When you get a croquette from Vienna, they're like the size of your hand.
They're jumbo.
Yeah.
So he got, obviously, again, Georgia managed to smash out a hot curry without liking a hot curry, which is just so Georgia. And the other thing was, Dev. Just managed to be Dev, which is his...
Cool, calm, collected, and just...
He doesn't panic at
No.
any point in time.
No.
He doesn't stress. He doesn't panic. He's perfectly calm. He is probably... him and Georgia are the most in control at all times.
And again from him, I always make red curry and it's just not working out. The balance is... So he's there balancing out this red curry. And I'm like, honey, I really know how to order and eat these, but I wouldn't know how to balance one.
No.
Yeah, just like, oh, it needs a fish sauce, need a bit of extra palm sugar. Just,
And
bloody
so
hell.
we'll talk a little bit about tonight, and then we're going to talk about the people who left us. So tonight, what we have to talk about tonight is a very serious thing. It was the fruit and veg night. And if you did fruit, you had to do something that was savoury, and if you did veg, you had to do something that was sweet. Now,
Tomatoes.
yep. I am the son of a horticulturist.
Yep.
I am the son of a horticulturist who has spent most of his life lecturing me in what is or is not a fruit or is not a vegetable.
Or a berry.
Or a berry.
Or a
So,
herb.
yes. So, ba-da-da, boo-da-da-da. The kids definitely won't get that reference anyway.
Nope. So current.
In terms of a fruit and a veg, obviously, a tomato is a fruit.
Yes.
A tomato is a fruit.
We all know this.
A banana, by the way, is berry.
I thought it was a herb.
No, the plant is a herb, but the banana itself is technically a berry.
Oh my God.
Strawberries are not berries.
What are they?
So they're a hybrid fruit because it's the pollination. So we're talking botanical definition here, which is what should be the definition. Right, there's a really good chart I put up from...
What are grapes then? Are they berries?
It's about where the seeds are. So the seeds
They're
are inside and a pollination. They might be, actually. I thought I'll have to look that one up. I don't know that one off the top of my head. Dad didn't lecture me on grapes.
Of all the things he missed from your education.
But bananas do have, technically, seeds on the inside, and it's the way that they're pollinated make them a berry. Strawberries, the way they're pollinated, they're not a berry, and the seeds are on the outside.
But it's in the name.
I know. Don't start me on raspberries, which also not a berry. Anyway,
Oh my God.
now we've got that out of the way.
Yes.
I would have done tomato and cheated. Technically, by the way, if you really want to get into it, pumpkin is technically considered a berry.
What?
Yeah. So,
No!
botanically, because of the germination and the seeds.
Oh my God.
So, I would have gone in there and broken their contest.
No, you got to go in with the spirit of it, other you just look
No,
like
you
a
don't.
smarmy little shit. You'd never make it onto Masterchef Junior.
If you look at the chart that I put up before,
Okay, but
grapes, there we are, berries. So you've got watermelon, berry.
It's fucking big berry.
Right, you've got grapes, berry. You've got... I mean,
There's lemon.
it's technically a citrus, but, it's also a berry because in botany it's a berry because of the way it's pollinated. Pumpkin, banana,
So a
cucumber.
berry relies on how the plant has sex.
yes.
We're coming down to plant
Common
fucking
berries,
sex.
but not actual berries, include cherries, raspberries, strawberries, blackberries.
But strawberry cherries aren't. I don't think of them as berries because they are stone fruit. They've got a stone in the middle of them, like an apricot or a
This is a whole
nectarine
other podcast.
or a peach.
This is a whole other podcast. Wow. Anyway, The long and the short of it is, I would have picked as tomato, and I would have just made something with tomato as a savoury.
They wouldn't have picked you for MasterChef Junior. They would have gone, he's a smarmy little shit. He will just annoy the hell out of the judges and kill the contest.
He's also over double the age of the oldest contestant. And that probably would have been a bigger issue.
But you would have turned up in your Yoshi hat. Like, that's...
I would have. But I'm over double the age of the oldest contestant. Yep. In fact, we're not there, but we're bordering triple.
Wow.
All right? So, not for nothing.
Hold on. Is one of them 10?
Yeah, so we are
I'm quadruple.
You're quadruple.
Jesus Christ. We're old. Oh.
Anyway.
Time to get my knitting out.
Yes, it is.
I can't do knitting, but I'll get it out.
So, I thought that Carter obviously had a night tonight. Dwight Schrute approved. The Masterchef
beets and brownies.
the Masterchef account obviously missed my reference. I said Carter's got a fan in, and I put a thing of Dwight Schrute up, and they were like, "He's certainly really good. All that support in the kitchen," and I'm like, "No, I'm talking about Dwight Schrute. This is an Office reference." But no, Carter's brownies, and again, he did a really good job on the beetroot.
Yeah.
He was really good.
And I loved the contrast of the colour of the sauce against the chocolatey fudginess of the brownie. Yeah.
Laura and fennel.
Oh my gosh. Okay, inspired.
It looked incredible.
She learnt about fennel from Billy Mackenzie. And this is what I have to say to all the women... Billy McKay, sorry. Who come onto MasterChef and they put themselves out there, and there are so many... You're role modelling for these young women and girls coming through, and it's just beautiful, and I just love it. Like, Billy, Amelia,
and we got to see... She made the little droplets as well, which...
Diana.
She made little droplets as well, which was amazingly good, you know, and like in the cold oil with and dropping them in there. And like there was a couple of people tweeted out, "I can't believe these kids knew how to do that." And I said, well, actually, the funny part is, because we've talked about the fact they've grown up with MasterChef, it's the least surprising thing I've seen.
Yep.
Because they've done it in the last few series. It's amazing. It's brilliant. I'm not downplaying it.
No.
But I wasn't surprised they knew how to do it, because I'm like, well, of course they do. They watch the show.
Well, it's the evolution of food culture. So... You know, we talk about the 80s and when to get a cappuccino, oh my goodness, that was fancy. You know, or a Vienna chocolate with your whipped cream on top. Oh my goodness. But these days it's kind of like, oh, I'm just going to get a frappe instead. Because the Vienna chocolate, they'll just look at you weird.
Yeah.
Still good though. Still good. Still fantastic on a cold day. So we're looking at children, like, you know, our celebrity chefs and cooking shows were like Peter Russell Clark and Huey's... What's it called?
Cooking Adventures.
There
was no adventure ever.
No adventure. He was just
Cookie's Hewitt Adventure. Huey's Cooking Adventures was literally just Ian Hewitson
in a kitchen,
or behind a kitchen bench in a park.
Yep.
There was no adventure. The least adventurous of the adventure shows.
It was ironic.
Huey's Cooking Adventures was basically Huey's adventure of wherever the kitchen bench found itself that morning. Oh, look, Huey, the kitchen's under work. Can you cook at this bench? All right, mate.
We've got a 30-kilometre radius we can travel to. I've got to be back home to pick up the kids from school.
I've got to be available to do a spot on Bert Newton's Good Morning Australia at the drop of a hat.
So for us, cooking, you know, making a fancy grilled cheese, you know, like, you know, using something like mozzarella, that was fancy because it wasn't a Kraft single. These days, the kids are like, oh, yeah, I'll just use some agar and make little, like...
That was funny when they asked, you know, oh, that looks amazing. How did you do that? Oh, it was really simple.
It's a coulis.
I just provided the coulis and the agar and just threw it all together. You know, it's something I just whipped up. It's like, oh, for God's sake, child, you're amazing.
Yes.
I also want more Laura interactions. How
good would it be being one of those parents? Like, Mother's Day, you'd be like, yeah, I'm having breakfast in bed.
Think of the expectation on the Mother's Day lunch. I just feel like, again, I wanted more Laura interactions after she had a mouthful of fennel sherbet.
Oh.
Because she had the fennel sherbet, and then Andy walks to the bench, and she just stops and stands there and waves like a 2-year-old. And he looks at her and he goes, "Are good?" She goes, fennel sherbet. And you can just see Andy going, oh, can't wait for this. But it was really good to watch, like, how excited they all got this week in general. They were all really excited as we got through.
And what I loved is that, like, the judges, like, it's not that they were uneasy with the kids. They were very comfortable and confident with them, but it just seems so cohesive this week. Like, the way, there was a moment between Jock and Vienna when he was saying goodbye to her tonight that I'm like, there's this beautiful, like, respect and connection there from Jock to Vienna, and presume vice versa. I couldn't see her face. That was just, it's just lovely.
Well, let's get to the moment, because I don't really want to get to the moments.
So, this Band-Aid.
This week, I'm going to start with the one that everyone wants to talk about before I get on to the one that I want to talk about. So, obviously, we lost Ben and we lost Ruby.
Oh.
Now,
Silky's gone back to the enchanted faraway tree.
I thought Ruby...
Pop-tarts or pop biscuits.
Ruby, especially for her age, she's going to go far.
Wunderkind.
She's amazingly awesome, and just watching her grow in there and watching her develop in there. And, like, again, like, the moment for me that will always stick with me is when they were doing the cook along with Andy, where everyone else is, like, just trying to cook along and follow along and keep up with her and keep up with him and blah, blah, blah. And you just get her stop and go, Andy, stop. What did you do with that last step? I need to have a look at it. And she just tells him to stop.
Yep.
Like,
he's like,
the confidence of a professional who's been doing this for decades.
Yep.
Like, no.
Meet my need.
So...
Yep. This is what I need.
So Ruby is a big loss.
Oh.
Ben. Has there been anyone on Australian television that producers have seen coming more and gone, God, I love this person?
No.
Ben is a producer's dream. He could carry every single narrative. I love the way he frequently started his own cheer squad.
Yes.
He did it again in the elimination. But he was really cool because he went, let's go, Ben, let's go, everyone, let's go.
Yeah, he's like, I'll extend this out, you know.
No, I'll start with me. We'll move the circle out afterwards, but start with me.
Yeah. Self-love has to start with the self.
Ben is really... Forget just talking personality. Ben's really good at food.
Yep.
He's incredible at food.
I am also pleased. Okay, initially, I thought travesty beyond travesties that Ben still hadn't got his cooking badge. And he's a kid who's bloody brilliant at cooking without his scout cooking badge. But then, because I don't watch the project, I was later informed he has his cooking badge. Ladies and gentlemen, Ben has his cooking badge. It is well deserved. And I am just relieved.
Yeah, I thought that what I loved about that too was the way that you managed to tweet out, first of all, about Baden Powell
is sad.
And followed by, never mind, stand down, Baden Powell is happy now. With a great image of Baden Powell, with a smile drawn on him.
Well, it was a sticker from my phone. I just whacked it on there. And then I might have put, fuck yeah, Ben, as a little speech bubble.
Also, don't forget, you filled the balls with a funnel. The way you described that was very much like the beer baron from The Simpsons. Anyway, far more importantly, tonight, so we'll start with Tiffany. Now, Tiffany, look, again, much like we talked the other night about Georgia just going, fuck it, I'm going to try something difficult here. I really love the way that when they got to it, Tiffany went, you know what, I need to test myself. I want to push myself, so I'm going to pick something difficult. I'm going to pick zucchini. And I'm going to pick zucchini because it's really hard. And Georgia said in the voiceover, and again, probably fed to her because it did sound like a fed one. But still, it's very hard to flavour zucchini and not lose the flavour of the zucchini. It takes on flavours of everything else. It doesn't keep its own.
Because zucchini is, as Melissa was pointing out, the thing that people hide veggies in for kids. Like they either make noodles out of them or grate them into a bloody bolognese or lasagna or something, you know?
It's the one you use when you're trying to hide vegetables. And so trying to hero the flavour of something that hides is really tough.
Yeah, and it's a very delicate flavour in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of like one or two notes. It's not like got a layer of flavour. Like pumpkin is, you know, it's got that sweet, that earthiness, and like a fuller flavour.
I admired the fact that she tried to hero it by just throwing a lot of it at
Everywhere.
the plate. But the problem was that everything she did, she soaked some of it, and it took on the flavour of what she soaked it in. She put it in the cake, obviously, and they said the cake was really good, but you really couldn't taste.
Yeah.
You couldn't taste any zucchini. All right. I've been holding this off. I don't really want to have this conversation. You know, tonight's episode means nothing to me. It means nothing to me. Oh, Vienna. So...
She started off with so much promise. Like when she grabbed that pumpkin, I was like, "Yes, girl!"
If she
Smart choice. I'll just hurt my hand.
If she had
punching the lounge.
If she had managed to cook the tart case,
yeah, I might have broken my hand.
Well done.
Okay.
Great moment of podcast history.
Yep.
Kristie has just punched the lounge and broken her hand.
Keep moving.
If she had cooked the case more, I think she possibly stays.
Yep.
I think she possibly stays. But the second it became apparent that the case was in trouble, she was in trouble.
Yeah.
And I think they said all of the flavour idea was great. The pumpkin profile was really good. It was just that the execution of the tart case hadn't worked.
Yeah.
And the thing too was her going out on making a tart. Oh. Given her background in terms of, first of all, making them for her brother a lot, but also her lemon tart that she made earlier in the series, which they said was better than Reese's. It's very rare that I didn't think I was going to get invested in this series in terms of writing every minute of it. And I have not felt so upset for someone going home ever. Ever. Not in a very long time.
Probably not since Amelia.
No, worse.
Oh, gosh.
Worse. Vienna is so stupidly mature and so with it and together, but also still has those moments of just being a kid and enjoyment and wonderment. And watching her cook was an absolute joy. And her approach to the kitchen and her approach to food and her approach to tonight. Like, again, you know, Georgia the other night talked about the idea of the dish, you know, going home and practicing the dish if she goes home. And Vienna was like, you know what, if I go home tonight, I'm going home making something that I love making.
Yeah.
And so I'm really happy if I go home because at least I've gone home on something that I love. And I'm just sitting here going, that you might be okay with that. I'm not okay with that. So if anyone knows Vienna out there, I need her to talk me through this. You know, me, an adult. I need a 13-year-old to talk me through her going home on a TV show because I'm not coping with it. I'm devastated by the fact that we don't get... I was all for a Vienna...
Laura Georgia, or
Vienna, Laura, Georgia, or a Vienna, Georgia, and Dev final three.
Okay, here is where we're at, right? From Sunday, and this is no disrespect to the other contestants who've been on, but from Sunday...
To be fair, any single person in this series could have gone through to the final and you go, oh, that's a worthy final.
It's been a hard loss. Like, it's more than Kill Your Darlings. It's just... I mean, they're not dead.
No.
They're going to go on to bigger and better things.
They're going to go into amazing things. And I think a lot of these, especially the ones all now, are all going to go into something just amazing. And
it's still blowing my mind that this time next week, we're going to know who's...
We'll be done.
We'll be done.
We'll be done. And
we'll have lost them all. Like...
But forever in our hearts.
Welcome to level 11 of 2020, people.
Doesn't get any easier.
No.
So I'm struggling to find the words to cope with this loss. Again, I think the nation felt the Ben loss. Yeah. Personally, this is the one I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know from here. What I do know of is that we've seen some of the best food I think we've ever seen cooked. And again, they talked about it tonight with when they talked about Laura's in particular, and they said one of the best dishes we've had. Not Junior Masterchef.
No.
One of the best we've had.
Between the plating, like she chose a plate that displayed those colours beautifully. The contrast of the green and the blackberry pearls were just the skill and the artistry as well as the execution was flawless.
Legitimately, any single one of these kids left could win, and it would make perfect sense.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's no wrong answer.
No.
And it was good to see as well, like, apart from obviously the upset of people going home, like, for example, Carter's reaction tonight when he got through.
Yeah.
You could see how much this means.
Riding on
He
him,
was really he was so overwhelmed with joy.
Absolutely. And, you can tell his heart and his soul and he's invested in every element, every dish that he's putting out there. So,
and I mean, the last moment before we finish up tonight, the other moment that I thought was just amazing was when Melissa held up the cross section of Biting into Philo's, and she holds it up and she goes, "A junior master chef made this."
Yep.
And it was him putting that gel into the mousse, which is his mother's recipe, and that's something they created. His mother and him created this mousse, and then with the glaze over the top and a biscuit on the bottom.
Yeah.
Don't forget that. And a biscuit on the bottom.
Everything's better on a bicky.
And the cross-section of it was just sublime. And like Melissa is genuine with her, a junior master chef did this. And I think that's kind of almost a byline for the whole series.
Yeah.
There are these amazing plates of food, and you look at them and you go, a junior master chef made that. Like, a child under the age of 14 made that dish.
Yep.
And I think that's something we can all sort of end up on. So that's kind of our lot for this week.
It is.
We got one more to go. I'm not prepared, but I will be by next week.
I just hope everyone's got the support they need to move through this
difficult time.
I
know I'm going to have to take a couple of days. There'll be lots of Ultravox being listened to.
I'll get you a weighted blanket. And
I'll just listen to a lot of Ultravox, Oh, Vienna. No. Anyway.
I'll make you a Vienna chocolate.
Oh, nice. I miss the Vienna chocolates.
And have a slice of Viennetta.
Oh, yeah. No, I need a Vienna chocolate back.
Yeah.
If anyone knows where to find a Vienna chocolate, actually don't tell me, because if you find a Vienna chocolate, it's probably way out of date by this point in time. Anyway, until next week, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
And we will catch you all later.
Ciao.